The K-Series Hammerless tooth system provides real value to Caterpillar customers. An adapter designed for durability, a tooth that stays sharp longer, and a retainer that greatly reduces the time and effort involved in tooth installation or removal. The key to success is installing the retainer correctly. When the retainer is installed correctly, the tooth is locked to the adapter and the bucket is ready for work. When the retainer is out of position, the tooth can disengage and fall off in the field. So, when is a hammerless retainer correctly positioned? Remember these words: snap to lock. When the retainer snaps into place, the retainer is installed correctly and the tooth is locked to the adapter. Snap to lock. And all it takes to do the job right is one tool, a pry bar. Watch as a K-Series hammerless tooth is installed. First, the tooth is rotated onto the adapter. Then the retainer slides into the slot in the tooth. Notice how the retainer is resting on the top of the adapter. The installer needs to reposition the tooth by pulling it toward himself slightly, so the retainer can be moved toward the tooth and down. In this case, the retainer drops into place. Now the installer is ready for the next step. The end of the pry bar curves away from the retainer. The pry bar fits between the retainer and the adapter. Pressure is applied, and you can hear the retainer snap into place. Snap to lock. Last step. The installer checks for correct installation by wiggling the tooth. A tooth should wiggle slightly, which indicates correct installation of the retainer. If the tooth does not wiggle, that would indicate that the retainer is not properly latched but is jammed into place. Take another look. The tooth goes on. The retainer slides in, and the tooth is repositioned so the retainer can move or be moved forward and down. Now pressure is applied, and the retainer snaps into place. Finally, the installer wiggles the tip to check for correct retainer installation. This tooth is locked on and ready for work. Now, let's take a look at the inside of the K-Series tooth. You can see the keyway in the tooth that helps hold the retainer in place. And here's the tooth with the retainer in the locked position. Now, look at the top of the retainer. It's level with the surface of the tooth in front of it. Here's another angle. The top of the retainer and the top of the tooth are level. Removing a K-Series tooth is simple. The pry bar goes between the retainer and the tooth. It needs to contact the latch of the retainer. Apply pressure, and the retainer comes right out. Now take a closer look. You can see how the pry bar is engaging the latch of the retainer. When you install a K-Series tooth, remember, snap to lock. And when you inspect the teeth on a bucket, check to make sure the top of the retainer is level with the top of the tooth, and that each tooth wiggles slightly. When you hear the snap, when the retainer is level with the tooth is locked to the adapter, and the bucket is ready to load.